Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking a closer look at the final flight of the Tejas fighter jet. It was at the 2025 Dubai Airshow, a day that was supposed to be a triumph for India's aerospace industry. Instead, it took a tragic turn, and we're going to piece together exactly how it happened. On what should have been the celebratory final day of a huge international event, a routine aerial display ended in disaster. And then came the official word. This stark statement from the Indian Air Force confirming the worst fears of everyone watching from the ground.
So the question is, how does something like this even happen? To really get a handle on it, we need to look at two crucial elements: the incredible pilot in the cockpit and the very advanced machine he was flying.
You see, this wasn't just any flight. This was the culmination of years and years of intense training for the pilot and more than a decade of development for the aircraft. Both of them, right there on the world stage, representing the very pinnacle of India's ambitions in the air.
So on one side, you have Wing Commander Namesh Sial, a 34-year-old ace pilot from a military family handpicked for the incredibly demanding job of display flying, a man who left behind his wife, who was also an IAF officer, and their 6-year-old daughter. And on the other side, you have the HAL Tejas. This wasn't just a jet. It was a symbol of a nation's push for self-reliance and defense, and it was meant to be the backbone of the future fighter fleet.
And make no mistake, the Tejas is a seriously formidable aircraft. I mean, just look at these specs. It's a supersonic, all-weather, multi-role fighter. It can hit speeds of Mach 1.6 and can handle extreme G-forces. We're talking forces that would make most people black out instantly. This thing was designed from the ground up to be a nimble, powerful asset for the Indian Air Force.
Okay, so now let's break down how the events of that afternoon actually unfolded, pieced together from what eyewitnesses on the ground saw and from video footage.
It was about 2:10 in the afternoon local time on the last day of the airshow. During the aerobatic display, what had been a showcase of incredible precision flying suddenly, and with shocking speed, turned into a desperate struggle against gravity.
So here's the sequence. The pilot begins this really complex, low-altitude maneuver. It's called a negative G push turn. That's where you push the nose of the jet down, creating this feeling of weightlessness. But as he tried to roll out of it, something went catastrophically wrong. The aircraft lost control, it descended incredibly fast, and then it hit the ground, erupting in a fireball.
Now here's something you need to know to understand why this was so stunning. The Tejas has an exceptionally strong safety record. This was only its second crash in more than 2 decades of flying. That incredible reliability is what made this very public accident so shocking and immediately raised a ton of questions.
In the moments right after the impact, the whole focus of the event shifted. It went from being an aerial spectacle to a full-blown emergency response. And both on the ground in Dubai and all the way back in India, a nation began to react.
And the official response? Well, it was swift. The IAF confirmed the tragedy and right away ordered a court of inquiry to figure out what happened. Dubai officials pointed out how fast their emergency teams got to the scene. But then, in a pretty surreal turn of events, the airshow actually started up again with flight demonstrations just 90 minutes later, even as crews were still working at the crash site.
As you can imagine, tributes just started pouring in from the highest levels of government. This message from the defense minister really captures that national feeling, acknowledging the profound loss of not just a plane, but an elite pilot described as brave and courageous.
So, beyond the immediate grief and the formal investigation, this whole incident raised some really urgent questions. I mean, this was a high-profile crash on a huge international stage, and it directly impacted the future of India's most important homegrown fighter program.
So how do you move forward from something like this? How does a nation restore confidence in its flagship aircraft after a tragedy? Well, experts and officials immediately started weighing the crucial next steps needed to make sure the Tejas program stays on track and proves just how resilient it is.
According to analysis in the Indian Express, the path forward really boils down to 4 key things. First, you have to be transparent. Release the findings of the investigation to the public. Second, the manufacturer, HAL, has to meet its production deadlines and build up the fleet. Third, and this is a big one, don't shy away from showcasing the Tejas in the future. And finally, trust in the professionalism of the Indian Air Force to see this through.
And it all comes down to this one powerful idea: the show must go on. It really captures the resilient spirit you need in military aviation. You know, there's this timeless Air Force tradition. After a loss, the squadron's commanding officer is always the first one to fly again. So despite this immense tragedy, the mission to advance India's air power must and absolutely will continue.